Talk Law Radio with Todd Marquardt is sponsored by the Marquardt Law Firm and does not attempt to solve your individual legal problems upon the basis of information contained herein. Instead, contact an attorney to discuss the specific facts and circumstances of your unique situation. The views and opinions of this program do not reflect the views of the Salem Media Group.
Be seated.
It's time for Talk Law Radio with Todd Marquardt. Todd Marquardt, attorney at law in Texas. If you're a millionaire or a thousandaire, Talk Law Radio is now on the air. Call in with your business law question, your elder law question, veteran aid, Medicaid, build a business to get paid. 210-308-8867. Or ask a question online at marquardtlawfirm.com. That's MARQUARDT lawfirm.com. And now it's Talk Law Radio with Todd Marquardt.
Welcome to Talk Law Radio. I'm Todd Marquardt. Now it's time to discover your hidden legal issue blind spots by listening to me talk about the law on the radio. Today, we're going to be talking with Cheri Ettinger. She's a longtime San Antonio resident and licensed realtor with Option 1 Real Estate, dedicated community servant who's stepping forward to serve the children and families of District 7 of the Northeast Independent School District Board of Trustees. We're going to be talking about laws designed to protect children, what's really happening in San Antonio real estate market, and Cheri's heartfelt legacy. But first, let's check in with the financial focus with Steve Warren, Financial Planning HQ. Welcome back to the show, Steve.
Hi, Todd. It's great to be back in the saddle again.
You mentioned in the past that most people feel that they have a written financial plan. Is that true?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's ask that question of your audience. So, to everyone that can hear my voice, do you actually have a comprehensive written lifetime financial strategy? So that would be a written document, Todd, that you could share with your CPA, your attorney, your wealth manager, so really all of your subject matter experts. And it would be a document that's comprehensive. It has clear objectives. It has strategies for each objective that you have, an action plan, or what we call a greatest probability strategy, or to y'all in the audience, do you think that the plan exists because you shared some mental goals with your advisor, but in reality, no written plan exists? So is it just wishful thinking? People often feel like they have a financial plan because they have investments, Todd. Mm-hmm. So I do hear that pretty often. I already have a financial planner, but it's actually a wealth manager. So they confuse basic wealth management with comprehensive financial planning. And a true plan is going to integrate wealth management, tax strategies, debt management, risk management, and legal planning. So consumers think they have a plan, but it almost never exists. So when I ask them to bring it to a meeting and they told me on the phone that it does exist, they don't bring anything because they really don't have one. So there's no strategy, there's no oversight, and people just think wealth management is financial planning for whatever reason.
So let's elaborate on that. What does that mean for people who have between $2 and $5 million in investable assets that already have a financial advisor?
Right off the top of my head, what I think about is it means that your listeners are paying $18,000 to $40,000 per year for basic money management. So let's ask your audience to think of it this way. Think of your money manager as a virtuoso trumpet player. They're incredibly talented at their specific instrument. They play fast, they play loud, they play flawlessly. However, they're completely deaf to what the rest of the orchestra is doing. Now, I would view us as the conductor. So the financial CEO think of that individual as a conductor who doesn't actually play an instrument, but they ensure, the brass, which is like the investments, the woodwinds, the taxes, the strings, which are the legal issues, and the percussion, insurance, every type that exists. they're all playing from the exact same sheet of music. So a beautiful trumpet solo can be ruined, if it's not really listening or it's not in conjunction with what the rest of the orchestra is doing. So if your investments, for example, are generating massive tax dividends, but your tax strategy isn't synced up to where you could plan for that, then you could be incredibly inefficient.
That's a terrific analogy. I love the band and the orchestra analogy. That's really true. What if different players were playing different songs? It
Yeah, that would be a bunch of
chaotic.
noise, right? A chaotic wall of noise.
Right, yeah. So how many of you out there have an actual written tax strategy? Tell us what that is.
A written tax strategy is, to some degree, it's derived from the client. So early in our relationship, we'll send out a document via email and we'll ask them to give us their objectives as it relates to taxes, insurance, legal, wealth planning, financial planning. So the client tells us what's important to them. A typical one, Todd, would be we want to be more efficient with our taxes or we want to pay less. I mean, I think that's pretty common.
Mm-hmm.
So the client gives us a strategy. Let's say there's 5 in the tax discipline, and a written strategy will be created by us and our team for each particular objective. And then there'll be an action plan to make sure the client does what they're supposed to do. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, that'd be really helpful to have everything written down so that you're not just guessing and reacting.
I would say that your audience, I bet there's nobody out there that has a written tax strategy.
Prove us wrong. And you can call the show at 210-308-8867. This is Talk Law Radio, talking with Steve Warren with Financial Planning HQ about comprehensive written financial lifetime strategy. I probably got some of those words out of order, but
Yeah, so your audience can give me a call, Steve Warren, at 210-685-2722, in case they need any clarification.
all right. One of my goals for the radio show is to help people see their hidden legal issue blind spots. And
Sure.
at the law firm, it's to have a written estate plan. You can't have an estate plan that's not written. It has to be written.
Of course.
And so I identify with what you're trying to do and helping people with a written lifetime financial strategy. Well, what are they missing out on if they don't have that?
If they don't have a strategy, I'm just going to think of one thing since we have 142 deliverables, but how do you measure how you're doing in actualizing what your goals are? So if your audience were to ask their financial advisor this question, which areas of my financial plan that probably doesn't exist are currently on track? What would the answer be? So this question would require the advisor to evaluate all 5 core planning domains, financial planning, tax planning, estate planning, investment planning, and risk planning, and give a straight answer, which are off track and which are on track. So how would your financial advisor respond to that question? If you go on a flight, think of the pilot checking all of the instruments, 5 instruments before takeoff. I would think that everybody out there would want to have confidence that their pilot has checked everything, the checklist is checked off, everything is good, and the flight's ready to go. And there's nothing left to chance.
Yeah, I hope my pilot does. So, Steve, some people hire a certified financial planner to write up a financial plan.
Yeah.
How is your comprehensive written lifetime financial strategy different from that?
If the financial planner can deliver a plan that lines up with the CFP board, then it's going to be a good written strategy. But what's different with us is that it usually ends there, Todd. So here is your financial plan, and it is written, but what about all of the coordination with the subject matter experts And the big part that's going to be missing, because I think financial advisors are, to a large degree, politically correct. So they tell their clients what they need to hear instead of the unvarnished truth because they're afraid to lose the relationship. And I used to be that way a long time ago. I've been in the business a long time, going back to the late 80s. So I think the accountability piece is a major component.
Great answer. You heard it from Steve Warren. If you have questions, give him a call and he'll help you out.
And Steve Warren here, and my number's 210-685-2722. Give me a call if I can offer any clarification on anything that I mentioned here, or if you would like to know what it's like in an initial meeting with us.
We'll be right back. Stay tuned. Are you confident about your financial future? What if you had a clear financial roadmap and a team holding you accountable to make the best financial decisions no matter what? At Financial Planning HQ, Steve and his sons, Joseph and Jacob, have been helping San Antonio families since 1987 with inspiring, intelligent financial strategies. Whether it's achieving or maintaining financial independence, becoming more tax efficient, or building business wealth, we create a comprehensive, written lifetime financial strategy that's uniquely yours, based entirely on what's important to you. Don't leave your financial future to chance. Call Financial Planning HQ today at 210-685-2722. That's 210-685-2722. And take the first step towards financial clarity. That's Financial Planning HQ, inspiring financial strategies for San Antonio. Remember, 210-685-2722. Hi, I'm attorney Todd Marquardt. If you don't have a will, the state of Texas decides who gets your stuff, and it might not go where you think. I'll help you create a simple, legally sound will that protects your family and your wishes. Call 210-530-4278. That's 210-530-4278. Or visit marquardtlawfirm.com for your free consultation. Do it before you die.
9:30 a.m. Answer.
Welcome back to Talk Law Radio. I'm Todd Marquardt. Joining us today on Talk Law Radio is Cheri Ettinger, a longtime San Antonio area resident, a realtor with Option 1 Real Estate, and dedicated community servant who's stepping forward to serve the children and families of District 7 of the Northeast Independent School District Board of Trustees. Cheri, you're on KLUP 930 AM, KSLR 630 AM, KNTH 1070 AM, and 103.3 FM, Facebook Live, podcasts everywhere, YouTube, and talklawradio.com. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. That's quite a platform here.
So you've lived here a long time. Tell our listeners how long you've been a part of San Antonio, Schertz, Bulverde, Spring Branch, and what that means to you as someone running for the Board of Trustees.
Well, I moved here in 1981, and I've worked and lived, in the community. I have clients in the community with families. I have watched some of my friends' kids grow up in school systems. I had a son that went to school in the district that I'm running for. So I have a little bit of knowledge, even back then, what was going on in the schools. So just being here for this long and watching people grow up and what's the changes that are going on in our communities and our schools are really different from when I went to school or when my son went to school. So yeah, I was asked to run at the last minute when the deadline was that day. Mark LaHood, who was a friend of my son's, called me and said, what are you doing? It was a Friday afternoon. And I said, what are you doing? I think it's, aren't you, it's early voting. Aren't you supposed to be campaigning? And he goes, I go, why are you calling me? And he goes, we need you. And I said, for what? And he goes, I need you to go down to the Northeast Independent School District headquarters and get your name on the ballot. And I said, for what? He goes, the school board. seat is opening up and we want you to run. And I was like, why me? I mean, I don't have kids in school. I, don't have grandkids going to school. Um, and he said, just because we need you. We need you to step up. And I know Mark and I trust him. So I said, okay, I'll think about it and maybe I'll let you know. And he goes, well, you got to be down there by 4 o'clock today. That's the deadline. And I was like, oh boy. So I hung up the phone and went, what I do, I went to a friend next door who I trust and who used to volunteer and be all up in her PTA with her kids and her grandkids and stuff. And she's retired. I thought, well, maybe she'll run. So I went over there and I asked her and she said, no, but I'll drive you down there. And I was like, okay, so here we go. We get in the car. I go, I don't know what we're doing. And she said, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. So I tried to talk her into doing it all the way down there. And then when we got down there, I just started filling out the application. And I thought, okay, maybe I can withdraw. I'll do this. I've done it. Maybe I'll think about it and pray about it. And so I decided to pray about it for 3 days and talk to 3 of my mentors. And I came to, and then I started talking to parents again, like,
And
what do you think?
what did they tell you? What did the parents say?
They all said, we need somebody. They were all like really supportive. Like they really wanted somebody to, like me, to go in and that they knew, that they could trust, that I would be their voice and that their ears and, and their eyes and what's going on, because you don't know what's going on unless you sit there and watch a board meeting, online. But they really wanted me to go in and, have a voice for people. And parents want transparency. They want to know what's going on now. They want to know what's in the curriculum. They don't like what's being taught outside of the basics, like, math, English, music, sports, what we used to do when we went to school.
Yeah.
So I decided, yeah, I can do this. If I take fear out of the equation of the unknown, because, I've never ran for an office. I don't sit on boards, but I was a parent. I understand what, parents want for their kids in school. We want safe schools. We want it to have a good education. We want them to have, if they want to go into skilled trades, we don't have that anymore. We need skilled trades. And we want to be able to adapt or equip kids to go off to college with skill sets, not just, off into college, into the Neverlands with nothing
Yeah.
to back up, give them a support system. So, and they really only have one chance in school and, till their 12th grade. They only have this one chance. And the other thing that happened was I was at lunch with a couple. And while we were there, their daughter texted them in New Braunfels. They had lockdown and she was hiding in a closet waiting for the police to come around. And I thought,
How
this is
scary.
not right,
Right.
And that was just another confirmation, we need safety in our schools. When we grew up, like I was saying earlier, we just worried about bullies,
Right.
and they weren't even bad bullies, they were just scary. Now there's real bullies and real stuff in our schools that should not be there.
You have a strong faith. I think the Lord will give you courage.
Oh yeah, because that's what, when I prayed about it, I kept hearing, take fear out of the equation. Would you do it? Take fear out of the equation. And I was like, yeah, fear not, that's in the Bible. Like
Right.
365 times or something like that every day. Fear not. So I said, okay, I'll do this and I'll just do the best I can like I do with everything else. I'll get prepared. I'll be there. I'll show up. I'll ask questions. I'll push back if I don't think something's right. And hopefully that'll be enough.
Tell us about the service, your service in the community, up to this point.
Oh, I've always volunteered. I like volunteering, especially if you're depressed or something, you go hang out with some volunteers. They're usually pretty good.
What are some things that you've volunteered to do?
Meals on Wheels. I used to do that when I worked at Little Caesars. I did that. They let me go off 1 day a week. They would give me time off to go do that. They were really great about stuff like that. man, I really did have really good employers. Now that I look back at it,
Mm-hmm.
they allowed me to volunteer a lot. Um, and I volunteered at the children's shelter there too, and they would donate the pizzas for me to take to the children's shelter. Church Under the Bridge. I did that before they had the big building downtown. We would all, like several churches would meet at one big church, like at 4 o'clock in the morning. We'd start cooking, making the meals, and then we would literally go under the bridge and hand out meals
Mm-hmm.
until the city got involved and, we had to have temperature, control and all that kind of stuff. And so that's when they went in and it was actually Lee Hotchkiss who helped develop or build that church under the bridge. He was part of that, and he was my employer too. So at my church, after I like to do when I'm depressed, go stand at the door, sign up to stand at the door, and because you got to smile
As a greeter.
as a
right.
greeter, and so you're forced to smile, and then by the end of the service, you're like, oh, okay,
Yeah, I've heard that. Smile and you'll find something to smile about.
yeah, and it works. It really does
Mhm.
work. So, I've always volunteered, like if people need something or I like it. It's just a part of serving, which is what I do in real estate too.
Right. Well, tell us what's happening in real estate right now. Tell us about your certifications and
Oh, okay. Well, I just got my license in Michigan as well. I got my real estate license in Michigan. The plan is to like head up there when it's really hot here,
yeah.
build a team up there and stay about 5 months out of the year and then stay here and have a team here as well. I love both Texas and Michigan. I mean, I grew up in Michigan, that was half my life. And then I came down here and I built a life down here in Texas. And I can't let go of either state. So, and I love real estate. I love homes. I love everything about building homes. So that's where my passion is. So as far as the market goes, we're pretty much stabilizing. We're no more crazy town, like during COVID and right after COVID.
Right.
It's we're more in the middle. We're getting to be a bit balanced market. So buyers still have more choices though, because sellers are staying on the market a little bit longer than they used to. So basically, buyers need to they got more power negotiating, and sellers need to go right out at the gate, be prepared for their home to, because the first 7 to 14 days are going to matter. It's going to put the stage of what their house is going to do. So they got to be priced right and they got to be, pristine and ready to go, be launched. So
There's so many online real estate companies now. What can you offer as a human being?
that's a good question. Well, I have a 100% close rate right now, which, could change, but except for my own properties, which I test on the market. But I'm kind of like a pit bull grit girl when it comes to transactions, just trying to make sure that everybody gets to the closing table and gets what they want and don't leave any money on the table. That's kind of my strategy. But as far as what I need to do, I'm sorry, could you?
Tell us more about your grit girl attitude.
Oh, okay.
That sounds fun.
Yeah, my mom was the original grit girl. She, back in the 70s, she was one of the very first women to work at a cement plant in Alpena. So, and because my dad was a heli arc welder and he was in an accident when they were early on and he became an epileptic, so he couldn't work any longer. So she had to step up. So, in Michigan, she went after the high paying jobs, like the union jobs, So she worked for Mobil. She dug pipeline up on the
Really?
UP, yeah, with a group of guys, and she was always working shift work and stuff like that. But they had started a trucking business, and that's the Teamsters went on strike, so we had to move from Michigan to Florida so they could keep their trucks running because my mom and dad had bought like 3 trucks, and they were all entrepreneurs. So that's kind of where we get my base from. But so we were down in Florida, and like a truck driver took off and was at a bar or something. So my mom had to get up and go find the truck and take the load, and she didn't know how to drive it, so she was grinding gears, and she jumped in that thing, and she she got the job done. And
How exciting.
that's where I get my grit from,
If someone wants to talk to you or meet with you to talk about real estate or children, families, and schools, how should they contact you?
Well, my website, gritgirlrealtor.com, and I also have a my candidacy campaign website, which is Cheri, Cheri, NSID7 @gmail.com is
Okay.
my email, and I also have the website.
Okay, great. Well, we got to take a break. Next segment, we'll be talking about hidden legal issue blind spots. Then we'll talk about sinners and saints and legacy too. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
By the Marquardt Law Firm, and does not attempt to solve your individual legal problems upon the basis of information contained herein. Instead, contact an attorney to discuss the specific facts and circumstances of your unique situation. The views and opinions of this program do not reflect the views of the Salem Media Group.
Welcome back to Talk Law Radio. I'm Todd Marquardt. This is Cheri Ettinger. She's a realtor, a longtime San Antonio area resident. She's a community servant, and she's running for District 7 trustee for the Northeast Independent School District. Cheri, welcome back to the show. I wanted
you.
to ask you about some hidden legal issue blind spots. One is, have you heard about the court case against Facebook and Google claiming that they engineered social media to be addictive, and they didn't warn parents of the dangers of being on social media all day?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen it on the news. I haven't got into the specifics of it, but it makes sense because they don't call it doom scrolling for any, for no reason.
I've never heard that term.
Oh, doom scrolling? Yeah, it's very addictive, even for adults. But as children are developing, I think it's horrific that they literally attacked children to be addicted to whatever they're going to put on their algorithms.
Right.
I mean, they didn't have a choice of what they're going, and addiction is real,
Yeah.
even for little kids. Now, I know that I have two young grandnephews, and they're addicted. They're addicted to phones and they're addicted to iPads. And when I go visit, the first thing they want to see is my phone. And and they get very, anxious if, the parent takes it away,
Right.
or they use it as a like a disciplinary type
Right.
of thing. Like, okay, you're not going to get your iPad. And even my nephew, who's in his 30s now, when my mom used to watch him, she would try and discipline him and take away his laptop, and he'd be up all night playing games. When he was young, 10, 11, 12.
Right.
And it was a constant battle. So this is nothing new,
Right.
this lawsuit.
Yeah, video games were addictive even before that.
But I think they should be held accountable.
Yeah.
I really do. I think that's missing a lot in everything.
Well, they only had to pay a few $1 million, and that's just a drop in the bucket for
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
So other states are following. New Mexico did something with this issue as well. But another hidden legal issue blind spot that I wanted to bring up and ask you about your opinion is the Texas law that bans cell phones from classrooms. Now, school districts get to write the policies, so every school district isn't going to be the same thing. But do you think having cell phones in the classroom is useful, or do you think that the kids will be able to survive without them?
It should be able to survive without them. We did. We didn't have, phones in school.
Right, but we didn't have an opportunity to get addicted.
Yes.
It
And it
wasn't
goes right back to the
invented
lawsuit,
yet.
doesn't it? Yeah. I don't think they should be in class. And maybe for emergencies, they can check them. I don't know how they're even going to implement that. Do they put them in their lockers? I mean, kids will be going to the bathroom to get to their lockers. I mean, they're addicted to their phones.
Right. And so they might be full of anxiety all day, not having
Well,
that.
it's kind of like when you have a baby, you got to pull that bottle away sometime. It's not good for them. So,
Right. Okay, so there's another law that I want to ask you about, Texas Health and Safety Code, Section 161-702, that prohibits gender transition or reassignment procedures and treatments for certain children. How does that law play into the conversation for families and schools in your district?
well, I can tell you how it plays in my conversation. It shouldn't be happening, period. It shouldn't even be controversial. I mean,
Right.
it's common sense. I just don't understand how this happened. And it got so prevalent through everything.
Well, one theory is social contagion, which comes from social media. So one kid probably had this thought that it would want to be a different gender, but then they go on social media and they talk about it, and then so other kids think, maybe I have that too.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's peer and social media. Right back to the lawsuit.
Right.
I mean, we really need to take a serious look at the social media and how it's affecting our children. I mean, these are life-changing surgeries. And I don't know if you've seen where these kids are trying, or now as adults are trying to transgender
Yeah, they want to go back
back,
to
and
what
they
they
can't.
were.
They will have health issues for their entire life. And I've been watching a lot of that based on, and they're, it's so horrific that they were told at 12 years old that they could have this surgery and it would make everything okay. I mean, when you're 12 years old, you're
Right, you
probably
don't
going
know.
through puberty and you're all confused anyway. And you're having people who are supposed to be taking care of you or looking out for you, sending you down a path that's irreversible.
Right.
Yeah, I just don't even know how that happened.
Another theory is that I learned about when I was studying the lawsuit that TikTok brought, said that it was unconstitutional for Congress to ban TikTok
Oh, yeah.
because the Chinese Communist government was feeding this information through
Yeah.
TikTok by promoting those
Yes.
posts and those ideas about transgenderism. It's war
It is.
against our
It is.
children.
It is. That's exactly what
They're
it is.
trying to destroy our society
Mm-hmm.
by getting to our children and planting these ideas that don't make sense.
Yes, I totally agree. I mean, if you can separate the families, you're going to separate communities, and it's just downhill. It's, we got to keep the families together, and we have to protect children from outside sources. And they're being bombarded with social media, all of this stuff on a daily, hourly, minute basis. So I do see parents standing up and limiting the time. I think parents are starting to wake up. Like, this has got to stop. We
Yeah.
can't just hand them an iPad all day long and
Right.
they're babysat. Well, when I was raising my son, he sat in front of the TV. I must admit, a lot with
Yeah.
like Sesame Street and
Yeah.
stuff like that
The
during
TV
Saturday.
TV
Was the stepping stone to where
Right.
we're at now, I
Yeah,
guess.
TV was my babysitter for some time too, because I was raised by a single mom who had to work.
And that's was me. I was a single mom.
I interviewed Christian Mueller last week. He owns and operates Club Pilates near the Dominion, and he was a teacher at one time before he became an entrepreneur. And so I asked him about cell phones in the classroom, and he said that the kids' attention span is just
So limited.
shorter than when he started. And so teachers and parents have to deal with that.
Yeah. Well, even well, I'll get to the grief thing. When I lost my son, it took me, it's like your brain fractures and you don't have, I couldn't concentrate anymore. I couldn't put thoughts together. I couldn't function very well. So I had to, put the phone down and learn how to focus again. And I got a little Pomodoro box, a timer, and I set it for 30 minutes, and that's called my focus is for 30 minutes on a task, and I can't like go down a rabbit hole or do something else. So I don't know, techniques. We'll adapt to where we're at, that's what we're good at for these kids that, maybe they all need Pomodoro boxes.
I have a book for you that I started reading. It forget the title of it, but it's about how people are different than AI.
Oh,
Well, people have imagination, they have curiosity, and so we're able to solve problems when we don't have enough information.
right.
AI needs information in order to solve a problem. And so this author, he studied secret forces, the U.S. military and CIA and organizations like that to figure out how we were different from AI. So it's a great
Oh,
book.
yeah,
I'll,
I'd like
I'll see
that.
if I can find the
I've been-
title for
yeah.
you.
I've been studying AI a lot for like the last 6 months because if we don't get ahead of it as a realtor, it's going to be really good for us because it can do a lot of the basic simple things so much faster than we can, that we can spend more time with our clients one-on-one.
Right.
Like going back and doing the comps and all that stuff, that's easy now.
Mm-hmm.
But I've hired a real estate coach who specializes in AI digital marketing, and it's a phenomenal
I've
thing.
noticed that your Facebook posts are getting better.
Better. Yeah, the first 10 or 20 videos, I was like, oh my gosh, these are so
How
horrible.
can people find you on Facebook?
Well, I have a business page. It's just Cheri Ettinger, realtor, and then my
Cheri.
yeah, Cheri Ettinger, Ettinger.
Okay, we got to take another break. When we come back, we'll be talking about sinners and saints and legacy too. Stay tuned. Are you 100% confident that no matter what happens in the financial markets, economy, or world events, you will achieve your financial goals? If not, we have a process to get your financial house in perfect order and keep it that way forever. Your financial future shouldn't be a guessing game. Planning, advice, organization, and accountability are deliverables you should expect. For over 35 years, Financial Planning HQ has been San Antonio's trusted partner for comprehensive written lifetime financial strategies. Steve and his team, including sons Joseph and Jacob, don't believe in a one-size-fits-all approach. Instead, they create a personalized financial roadmap for you based on what's important to you. As an independent registered investment advisor, they're not tied to any big corporation's products. They work for you, creating inspiring, intelligent financial strategies that put your interests first. Call Financial Planning HQ at 210-685-2722. That's 210-685-2722. Hi, I'm attorney Todd Marquardt. If you don't have a will, the state of Texas decides who gets your stuff, and it might not go where you think. I'll help you create a simple, legally sound will that protects your family and your wishes. Call 210-530-4278. That's 210-530-4278. Or visit marquardtlawfirm.com for your free consultation. Do it before you die.
9:30 a.m. The Answer.
In the beginning, God had one law. Don't eat from the fruit of that tree. Then he gave Moses the 10 Commandments. And now we have municipal, state, and federal lawmakers who won't stop creating new laws that might affect you without you knowing it. So tune in to Talk Law Radio every Saturday morning, Sunday afternoon, and anytime on YouTube when you're walking the dog, washing the dishes, or working in the garage. So this is the Sinners and the Saints segment.
Old church.
Okay. Yesterday was Good Friday.
Yes.
Tomorrow's Easter.
Amen.
And because Jesus was crucified, died, and buried to pay for our sins, and 3 days later, he showed himself alive to give us hope. The sinners this week are the people in Nigeria who were slaughtered last Palm Sunday. So I'm going to say a prayer for Christians in Nigeria. Dear God, thank you for this day and for all the gifts and blessings you give to us. Thank you for freedom in the United States to follow Jesus Christ. Please protect Christians in Nigeria from violence. Please help Cheri Ettinger in her efforts to improve the lives of her real estate clients and the lives of school children and families in the Northeast San Antonio community. Help us to do everything we do for the good of your people, for our own good and for your glory. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
The saints this week are the men and women in the United States Armed Forces who are defending us from nuclear weapons and missiles in Iran. And I also pray that the Lord will help our service members find the missing pilot. In good news, the astronauts are on a
Yes.
mission.
That was something.
Yeah, somebody said it's been 50 years since we went to the moon, so it's nice to have people brave enough to be exploring.
It was exciting to watch. That's for
Yeah.
sure.
Cheri, if someone wants to contact you or meet with you to discuss real estate or education in the Northeast part of town, how can they contact you?
I have a website. It's for the real estate. It's the gritgirlrealtor.com. And I do have a website for the NSEID District 7, but it's Cheri, Cheri, for NEISD 7 .com or at gmail.com. It's
Yeah,
my email.
right. You can find Cheri pretty easily
Yeah, you can find me on
online.
YouTube, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. Just Google Cheri Ettinger or Grit Girl Realtor.
Great. So you're here talking to us about real estate and about issues that children and schools and families have. But this is the fourth segment, so I also wanted to talk about your legacy.
And now it's time for the Talk Law Radio Legacy Spotlight. What's your legacy? Sponsored by Marquardt Law Firm.
Marquardt Law Firm is sponsoring the show, and Marquardt Law Firm is looking to hire another attorney. If you know someone who wants to help people design and create great legacies with flexible work schedules so they can spend time with their children, email host@talklawradio.com, HOST@talklawradio.com. Okay, Cheri, so I like to talk about legacy, and I'm so thankful and appreciative that you're going to share your legacy. And I can imagine that it's going to take some courage for you to talk about it. So I want you to know I appreciate it, and want to let you know that you can share as much or as little as you want.
Thank you.
You can guide the conversation with however you're comfortable.
Okay.
I'd like to first start with, can you tell us about your son, JC, about his personality and something that you remember occasionally that makes you smile?
One thing about JC was, well, he was my biggest cheerleader and I was his. We grew up together, basically. I was the single mom and we did everything together. So when he died, he was 34 years old. And one of the things, he had a trucking business, he had a vending machine business, he had a landscaping business. So, and he was helping me. We were flipping a house basically together. He was helping me renovate a house to flip it. And he tried so many things in that 34 years of his life. He was an entrepreneur. He'd like call me every day. Like 4 or 5 times a day we talked. And he would say, hey, you know what we should do? And I was like, oh no, here we go. And he had so many ideas. He had like imagination and he just wanted to help people too. He did a lot of that. But we were working together, and when he passed away, he went to church. He was the first generation in our family went to church. I grew up as an atheist. I didn't become a Christian until I was almost 30.
I don't think I knew that.
Yeah, nobody went to church in my family or my grandparents, either on either side, except I think I had one grandmother. But my little sister went with her friend. They would go, but she went to like a Baptist church, and we didn't really listen to her because she'd come home with, we're all going to hell. We were like, well, why would I want to go to that?
And so how did JC get involved?
I was, I had a friend that I drove to work with every day, and she would say, she was from the South, and she'd say, Cheri, you need to come to my church. And I was like, I don't have time to go to your church. I work all week. I'm a single mom. I have errands all day on Saturday, and I hang out with my son on Sunday. There's no way I'm going to church. And she said every day she, talked to me about going to her church, going to her church. And then I had a nightmare one night, and it was about the Iraq war, the Iraq war, before it even happened. And it scared me. I sat up in bed. I remember that's like so vivid. I just knew that I was going to die. from a war, some kind of war, and in the dream. And I wasn't saved. And I don't know how I knew that, you know, maybe because she was telling me all the time when we were in the car. But I called her and I said, I want to go to church. And she said, okay, I'll meet you at the door. And so she met me at the door and she gave me a box of tissues and she said, you just sit in the back. And, you know, I was like, okay. And I had JC towed with me and he was little, like 4. And, you know, I listened to the service and the preacher said, you know, everybody bow their head. And, you know, right now, if you died and walked out this door, would you go to heaven or hell? Raise your hand. And I raised my hand when he said hell. And next thing I know, I was down in front of him and he had a microphone in my face and I was repeating this prayer that I had no idea what I was doing. Kind of like when I was filling out the paperwork for the board, you know, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, I thought I was saved then, but it didn't really happen until, because I didn't know what I was doing. So I came back, and I was in Georgia and I moved back to San Antonio and then my life was just really out of control. I was spiraling out of control and it was like 3 years after that. And I walked into Cornerstone Church. I just took my son, a neighbor invited me. She goes, you know, why don't you go to church with me? And I said, no, I tried that already. It made my life worse. It really did. Everything just seemed to fall apart. It didn't get better at first. And so, she kept on me. So I think about that often when I'm talking to people, inviting them to church, just keep asking them, you know, keep asking them. And that was one thing my son told me. He said, don't ever stop, you know, asking them to go, Mom, because one time they may say yes, you know. So, and that's what happened. I said yes to her. And then I went there to Cornerstone and they were talking about the 10 Commandments and how God put that in place because he loved us. You know, it wasn't about, you know, being mean or, you know, and I went down to the front and rededicated my life to Christ on that, in that church. And then I got baptized there. And that's when my life really started to change because I realized what I had done. I was a sinner and Jesus Christ saved me because he loved me. And I wasn't going to go to hell. And I knew it then, where I didn't know it when I got saved. In the other church, I'm not going to say the denomination, but it was Bremen, you know.
Will you share with us what life was like after you lost JC?
It was horrific. It was horrific. It was like my whole world just, I describe it like being trying, like you're covered in wet cement, if that makes sense. Like you're trying to move and you can't. And you know, nothing makes sense. And I didn't question God where my husband Brad did. He became angry and I didn't. I remember screaming. So I functioned during the day and then come home and just scream, you know, why? And one time I was screamed so loud, I was dehydrated and hoarse and I just fell and this is when it started to change. I felt God say, I know you lost your only son, but I left you mine. And I felt that.
Wow.
And after that, I started getting a little bit better, you know, like days started getting a little bit easier and the sadness started leaving and I'd have a little more joy. Now I remember all the funny things about him, you know, like he was hilarious and he would send me jokes all day long and just stuff like that.
How did you develop your vision and purpose?
Oh, okay. Well, he did fall into a deep, deep despair where I wanted to I would cry every night. God, take me home. I want to see him. I can't live here anymore. Nothing makes sense. And I'd wake up in the morning and I'd still be awake. Or I'd be awake. And I was like, oh, okay, I got to do another day. And then I just started writing again. I have a Bible that I used to write to him notes because I had gotten it for a wedding gift. And JC would see me every morning and be studying in my Bible and writing notes and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, long story short, I put it up because after he died, I couldn't look at it because there was all these notes to him because my legacy was going to be giving him that Bible when he got married. And so, yeah.
Thank you for sharing all that with us. I wish we had more
Oh,
time.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. Cheri Ettinger, Realtor and running for trustee for the District 7 Northeast Independent School District. Email her, search for Cheri Ettinger online. We have to go.
Wow, that went by fast.
I'm Todd Marquardt. I'll talk to you later.
Most families don't realize they have hidden legal blind spots until it's too late. Wills, trusts, Medicaid planning, even protecting a business. These are the kinds of issues attorney Todd Marquardt helps uncover before they become problems. Todd is the host of Talk Law Radio, where each week he guides listeners through the legal challenges families, veterans, and business owners face, while showing them the practical steps to protect what matters most. Catch Talk Law Radio, Saturdays at 11 a.m. on 9:30 a.m. The Answer, 6:30 a.m. The Word, and now in Houston on AM 1070 and 103.3 FM The Answer, or anytime on YouTube. Planning isn't just about documents. It's about peace of mind, security for loved ones, and building a legacy that lasts. Don't wait for a crisis. Do it before you die.